But part of the question we're thinking about tonight is Christianity just about heaven and hell, or is it about more than that? And if it's about more than that, then why is it more than that? Right? It sort of can be sort of this transactional theology. I'll do this, God, and I'll be good, God, and I'll love you, but I want my ticket into heaven.
Sure till you get there, is that it?
And you're never sure until you get there. Well, fear is a powerful motivator, and unfortunately, I think the Christian church has used fear, the fear of hell, the fear of not getting into heaven, as a powerful, not only to control people's behavior, but also to control us in general. And we've sort of, it starts to reflect upon, sort of a parent image of God, right? And you can also sort of have a Santa Claus image of God, If I'm good, I'm going to get presents. If I'm bad, I get, a lump of coal. So I think God is more than Santa Claus. And God is more, and Christianity is, more than opening presents on Christmas morning. Yeah, so often we talk about heaven on earth and hell on earth, and we certainly can come up with descriptions of hell on earth, and some of us have even been there. But yes, the more we're separated from God and the ways and the will of God and the community of faith, the more hellish life can seem. Heaven on earth is, oftentimes I experience heaven on earth right here in the midst of you, in worship, or in serving with you, or being with you. So I think it's helpful to move away from sort of this literal sense of heaven and hell, up and down. That comes from a cosmology, a biblical cosmology that no longer exists. Heaven was above the sky where the water was held, and hell was sort of below. And our concept of hell wasn't even biblical. Biblical is Sheol, which is just sort of a land of the dead, that we're going to one day all be, in a sense, resurrected again. So the fiery pits of hell came from Dante and cultural assumptions. Yeah, I believe in eternal life. I have no idea how that's going to look or feel, except that I'll use words like good and exciting and unison and wholeness and peace and love and all the sort of different language that we use. And I think eventually everyone makes their way back to God. Because God's love is, I don't think you could ever permanently separate yourself from God's love. It's one of the reasons I shared that parable in chapter 15 is all about the parable of the lost, but all the lost are found in the end. When we think of Jesus, I think it's hard to find any place in the Gospels where Jesus emphasizes heaven and hell. I don't think Jesus particularly teaches about heaven and hell, but what does Jesus teach in his parables and through his actions? What's he teach? Love one another, acceptance, do unto others, you would have them do unto you, mercy, compassion, justice, all those types of things. But it's about here and now. And so he's teaching about the here and now, and sort of heaven will take care of itself. And that's the way I sort of basically look at it. I'm a follower of Jesus. I try to do my best and live my life the best I can according to those mandates and those examples that Jesus sets forth, and heaven will take care of itself. In the Lutheran tradition, we rely a lot on grace, right? We are saved by grace through faith. So it's hard to go into a Lutheran church and hear a real heaven and hell theology, because we are so grace-centered and grace-grounded. And that's typically why it seems sort of foreign to us, in a way we all are in somewhat agreement about that. Heaven sort of takes care of itself. The definition of salvation: when heaven is in us, not when we are in heaven. I like that. Salvation is when heaven is in us, not when we are in heaven.